If you are in the UK, good evening. If you're in the US or Canada, good afternoon.
And if you're in Australia or Japan, good afternoon. Welcome to the Magic of Wrestling podcast.
Of course, in approximately, I've God knows how many hours, WWE Backlash is going to be kicking off. So we're going to do our pre-show. We're going to go down every single match. We're going to have a nice discussion. But in turn, you know the rules by now. Roll the intro. I must remember to turn my headphones down when that intro plays because now my ears just gone bang.
You deafen yourself a little bit there, my man.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Of course, it's Saturday night again. It's time for the Magic of Wrestling. I'm, of course, the host, Liam Wakeland.
And I am the co-host, Mr. I6. And we have to, before we move forward here, we've got to make mention. There's something major that's happened in the UK today, and there's something fairly major happening in Kentucky today.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want to mention what's going on in the UK today?
Well, of course, today it was obviously the coronation of the King Charles, so that was obviously today. And what's going on in Kentucky? Because I do not know.
Today is the day in which the world famous Kentucky Derby happens.
Oh, okay.
So that'll be happening tonight. A little bit of a British connection. The late Queen herself came over here several times to visit us to watch the Kentucky Derby. So it's a big day in both of our lands today.
It is, and of course, it's a big day for obviously WWE because in approximately it's about 4 or 5 hours, WWE Backlash is taking place. Am I right on that? I don't know time wise.
I believe it's at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'd have to double check. It's either 7 or 8. Probably 7's the pre-show. 8's probably the actual show. And good afternoon, Joseph Graham. Glad to see you here.
As always. It's crazy that the favorite from the day was Scratch. Really? Okay. Who was his favorite?
You know, the Derby has had some like controversial things over the past few years. But yeah, I mean, that it happens from time to time. You're dealing with live animals, man. Anything can happen.
There you go. What do you call it? How's your week been, by the way, Mr. Isaacs?
Crazy as usual, my man. Trying to keep up with all this wrestling that just keeps growing and growing and growing. And eventually they're going to have to put a lid on it or I'm not going to be able to follow this stuff anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Canada Dry's obviously said to us before, there's so much wrestling. I don't even think you can catch up on it all week.
No, there's too much. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I just can't get through 3 hours of Raw anymore. Like, I used to be able to do it. But now it's like I get about 2.5 hours in, and then I kind of, I either fall asleep or I'll go back and watch it later.
Yeah, it's one of them, and it's just so much wrestling. I mean, obviously, I get to watch AEW, Impact. Humans are not the only ones who
you know, they're it's funny you say that, Joe, because yeah, I mean there are doping scandals and horse racing. There's also instances of I remember about probably a decade or so ago there was an instance of like an opposing team putting like little sponges up the nostrils of the horse to keep them from being able to breathe properly in the race. It's a dark industry, man.
Yeah. I often wonder, though, really, how they actually managed to know that the horse is on steroids. What do they do? Realize when the horse is actually carrying the jockey instead?
Basically. But, I mean, they do drug testing on them just like they do professional athletes. They have anti-doping testing mechanisms. It's kind of crazy, but it's the world we live in.
It is. I mean, I think that sums it up best. That's the world we're living in. So, have we done anything exciting this week? Anything to report? Anything good?
Not really. I mean, I'll probably watch the Derby a little later. Watch Backlash tonight, and probably just won't do anything tomorrow. I am doing All Effing Wrestling podcast tomorrow, though, and I'll be taking on Joe Graham in a trivia contest, so that'll be interesting.
Ooh, I might check that out because I actually tested my wrestling knowledge for a while, so we shall tune in for that one. Right then, so enough rambling on. Obviously, let's get into the actual why we're actually here. As you mentioned there, Backlash is obviously on tonight. I've got an image somewhere when I can find it. There it is. Backlash from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, Before we also get into the match breakdowns, what are we expecting? Anything good, truthfully?
I am expecting a very large crowd, a very raucous crowd, a very happy crowd of Puerto Ricans who don't get big wrestling there anymore. But other than that, I think Brock versus Cody is going to be pretty good. But this has not had a very good build up. Let's just be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But we can go through this match by match and kind of break that down. But Joe Graham says, "Take it easy on me." No. Here's what I'm hoping, Joe. I'm hoping JFB is the one finding these questions, right? And I'm just hoping that it's not going to be like, okay, guys, what was the second match of the third Saturday night's main event? I'm gonna be like, dude, I don't know.
So, is it multiple? There's gonna have to be multiple choice on that one.
Yeah. So I'm hoping this is stuff that's like strictly based on like angles and characters and titles and that kind of stuff. But I'm not very good at the chronological stuff sometimes.
No, I am not as all. So before we obviously get into the main event match, we're going to obviously say a massive thank you to the sponsor now, which is of course
W.
Now
you gotta use the code FN Wrestling to get 10% off. If you want to stay up all night and game, W is what you use. That's what all the Twitch streamers use. That's what you need to use whenever you decide you want to play WWE 2K and smack the hell out of somebody with Brock Lesnar. You need W.
But also, you can actually watch plenty of wrestling as well to stay up as well. So,
Indeed.
There you go. So that's w.gg. Use the code FN Wrestling for 10% off. And it's global, by the way. So, what was that comment again? Sorry.
Oh, Joe Graham was saying that with JFB, it's probably going to be Japanese trivia. I thought about that too, because I know he's big in Japanese wrestling. Some of that I can get, some of it I can't. So we'll see when we get there. Evan Wrestling is here. Finally, the guy makes an entrance and wants to know if he gets cookies. No, I'm sorry. Liam decided to double dip in the chocolate chip and they're gone. Sorry.
And then I actually gave the remaining ones to the new intern because the last one got sacked after screwing up Paranormal.
What did they do on Paranormal, Liam? Come on.
Well, we loaded a video in which obviously was supposed to be about cats and stuff like that, and instead they decided to load a video of a guy, let's just say, emptying his bowels with noises.
Oh, he went to the evacuation chamber.
Right? There you go.
There's an old joke that Aaron will get from a few shows ago.
I've actually seen it. I know the actual thing. The elimination chamber when I wasn't here. It was funny. I enjoyed that one. But right, I think we've done enough rambling on. Let's get to the main event. Roll the intro.
Let's do it.
The main event.
So before we obviously do the match breakdown, see, I'm not doing it. I'm moving on. Now, before we do the match breakdown, we like to do obviously what do fans want to see. Do we like to get the fans' opinions on stuff. So we've got a few things what fans want to see tonight. Now, I've got a little list here to discuss. The new. How dare you? How dare you?
I'm not touching that one. I don't want effing wrestling HR to call me Monday morning.
No, you don't. So, first thing, obviously, fans want to see tonight, and I thought this was quite interesting. The fans want to see the 6-man tag match to kick the whole show off. I mean, when I look at the card, really, do you think that's probably plausible, putting that match on first?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, they want something that's going to be kind of chaotic and high energy and crazy and off the rails to kind of start things, kind of wake everybody up a little bit, and then start putting on the rest of the show. I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at that actual card, it's the only match I can think putting on first. The other one I said was obviously the triple threat, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, out of all the matches, I can honestly see that one going on first. So that's a little short thing there. The next one, obviously, we've got here is there's a bloodline breakdown in communication. Obviously, the bloodline's kind of, I think it's died down a little bit, but a breakdown in communication fans want to see. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is something they're kind of teasing for a while here. This is kind of their long-term storytelling, right? The bloodline, they ruled and controlled everything for a while. Now we're starting to see a little chinks in the armor. You know, the Usos and Solo Sikoa are kind of like skeptical of each other at this point. Yeah, we're working towards it. We're working towards a full split of the bloodline.
Yeah, I think that's obviously odds on, but will it be tonight? Who knows? Remains to be seen. So, next one we've got is Zelina Vega has a Neely moment. I mean, I understand this is something I want to see because I do rate Zelina Vega personally. I just think that I'm expecting a squash match for some reason. What about you?
Probably because Zelina Vega's 50 pounds and Rhea Ripley looks like a monster. So that's probably why you think that. Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, Rhea's going over here and it's going to be pretty ugly. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We'll move obviously along to the other match, which is people want to see Bianca Belair retain. I mean, she's up against probably one of the biggest. They need to do something to make the bloodline interesting again. This is for sure. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree there. Do you think it's kind of died down the bloodline storyline a bit?
Yeah. I mean, I think WrestleMania was kind of the peak of it. Now at this point, it's just like, okay, so WrestleMania happened. That was kind of supposed to be the seismic shift. We kind of stayed on the same course here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's time to throw some wrenches in here. Like we need to like split these guys up or at least have some kind of dissension internally. But I think they are working towards that. Hopefully it'll be soon. They don't drag it out till like next year.
It's WWE. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Yeah, so as I mentioned, there is Bianca Belair retains. I mean, she's up against Io Sky. I don't actually know what I think about this match. What's your thoughts on this one?
Thrown together. Something that was just kind of thrown together. I mean, there's been almost no build up to this at all that I can recall. I did see Bianca Belair get jumped by Damage Control last night. But again, it's kind of weird because Bailey's in charge of Damage Control, but yet somehow Io Sky's got the title shot. This is for the Raw Women's Championship. They did absolutely nothing on Monday to build this up other than run a video package on Io Sky, which was kind of weird. I mean, Bianca's going over. She's going to win. Charlotte's going to win. I mean, excuse me, Rhea. Freudian slip there. Charlotte's going to win. Now, Rhea's going to win. Bianca's going to win. They're going to do that thing where they face off and hand the titles off to each other. And, you know, that's what's going to happen here. We all know it.
Yeah. We'll obviously get into the match breakdown after, but next one is Seth overcomes the Giant. Omos or Osmos Jones, as Canada Dry calls him. I've got to be honest. I mean, this is probably the one on the card where I'm like, I'm not even looking forward to this, but what do you reckon with Seth versus Omos?
Now, Liam, has there been any build up to this match at all?
Not to where I can recall.
I don't either. They've had Seth doing other things. They've had Omos doing other things. Like, maybe I'm just forgetting, but I don't even remember these two crossing paths any of the past few weeks. Yeah, this is really weird. This is a randomly thrown together thing. This kind of, to me, is a Vince McMahon. We haven't been to Puerto Rico ever, so we need to put a big guy out there so they know what our brand is like. That's kind of what I think this is. I don't think it's going to be a great match. I just found out last night that Omos apparently calls his 12 fans Homo sapiens, which I think is kind of funny. To which somebody in the chat was like, "You don't know that already?" I'm like, dude, I don't look up interviews of Omos. I'm sorry. I don't have that kind of free time, I guess, or want to mentally torture myself like that. But the Homo sapiens, that's fantastic. Liam, are you a Homo sapien?
I do not like him one bit. I'm just going to be honest. I feel like I don't get the character. I get it. He's like 7 foot tall or whatever he is, but I just find him boring in the ring. I will be honest.
Well, I mean, he's the typical giant in the ring. You know, I mean, back in the day, people would chant "Please retire" at Big Show. You know, it's like people just get kind of bored of the big guys that do like 2 moves. You know, it's like it meant more back in the day, back in the 80s and such, when we would see a big guy and they look like a monster and like, oh my God, it's a monster. But in 2023, it just doesn't quite work as well as it used to, in my opinion. I don't think Omos is terrible. I think he's all right. He's definitely an attraction, but I just don't think that's as much of a draw today as it used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the last thing obviously fans want to see, then we'll get into the match breakdown, is Damian Priest wins against Bad Bunny. For some reason, when they said Bad Bunny, I don't. Just take it away, because I have no words on this one. I do not.
Well, FN Wrestling says that Omos is the type that will eat your cookies. So I could see that. I mean, he's a large gentleman. He probably requires hundreds of cookies in order to meet the caloric intake to maintain that type of physique. Joe Graham says Bad Bunny's winning this. Yeah, there is no conceivable way that Damian Priest wins this unless Bad Bunny comes out and pulls a Shane McMahon and blows his ACL at the start of the match.
There you go. Let's get to the matches, shall we? So we've got 7 on the card. Match number 1 is the Bloodline versus Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Matt Riddle. Is that Choo Choo Train?
That was my phone. Sorry.
Yeah, so this is obviously, I just mentioned there with the Bloodline thing. I mean, everybody loves Sami Zayn, obviously, Kevin Owens. Matt Riddle, obviously, has come back, so he's people still on the fence a little bit. But this match in particular, I mean, do we see it going over? Do we think the build-up's been not great or overall?
I mean, it's basically just a continuation of WrestleMania, essentially. I mean, they just threw Riddle in here and just, made it a continuation. Who knows if we're going to see some kind of dissension between Solo and the Usos where Roman Reigns is not going to be here. That would kind of kayfabe, give them a reason for everything to kind of start to slowly unravel. I would imagine something like that's going to occur. And I would imagine that Riddle and Owens and Zayn are going to go over.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I feel like, obviously, the Bloodline thing, since obviously the Usos have lost the titles, it's like, what have they got to do now? Because the problem I've got is with, obviously, WWE, if we've said this many times, the tag division's not exactly great. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, when you look at the tag division, you've got the Usos, you've got Kevin Owens, and obviously you've got the Viking Raiders. You've got a few tag teams there, I'm going to point that out, but the tag division when it comes to WWE is not the best. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, they've got some talented teams. The Street Profits. I mean, the Viking Raiders were great back in the day as War Machine. The Good Brothers just came back. They're good. I mean, they're getting up there in age, but I mean, they've got some solid teams. It's just they just don't focus much on the tag division. They don't really build it up. I mean, their tag division has some heavy hitters in it, but they fail to build them up adequately. So it makes it look subpar compared to AEW's tag division. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do you see, obviously, the tag titles now being combined as one? Because I kind of hate like 2 straps in a way.
I kind of think they're going to have to keep the tag titles as one especially the women, but for the men as well, because there's just not enough tag teams in WWE to sufficiently build that up. I mean, unless they start creating just random thrown together teams, which, they're known to do, I don't think they're going to be able to. I think they're going to have to keep the tag titles conjoined.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, but I agree obviously with you as well. I think Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle is going to go over, but I mean, this is WWE. I mean, we could completely be wrong here. Do you know what I mean? The Bloodline could get a big win. Who knows? I mean, I kind of hate when WWE does it, the tag division, because I can never pick who wins.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, there could be an argument for it going either way, but I do think the baby faces go over this time.
Of course. So next match is, do you want to put this image up? Which is one of the women.
Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. We touched on this one slightly a few minutes ago, but what do you think about this one?
I don't see what the build is for this. Do you know what I mean? I like Bianca Belair partly sometimes, but I just, for some reason, I kind of hate these matches where they're just like thrown together at the last minute. And I think we mentioned earlier, there's just been a video package for the actual thing. So it's like, for me, when you're building matches up, you've got to have like a storyline. It's got, do you know what I mean? You've got to have things in place, and I just feel like there's not much been put in place for this. Would you agree?
It's a throwaway match. I think I mentioned that earlier. It's a throwaway match because we had the draft, and obviously you can't really start anything new during the draft. So Bianca is going to go up against Io Sky. She's going to go over. She's going to keep the belt. She's going to have her little face off of the Rhea, and they're going to exchange title belts because they're both going on opposition shows as champions. The old Becky Charlotte thing from 3 years ago. It's going to be the same song and dance. This is just a transitionary kind of throwaway match. I think it'll be a solid match. Io Sky is very good. She's very underutilized, but at the same time, I just don't think that this is really going to do anything much to further the division. It's just kind of a throwaway match.
Yeah. Speaking obviously the draft is, I mean, did you see the thing about the new champion crown? It's from diversity for Raw, but yeah, it's going to be on SmackDown as well. It doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, the new title.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense in the sense of that they need to make it abundantly clear that the winner has to go to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they make it like that, then I can understand them having it open to both brands. It's just that whoever wins has to dedicate themselves to the Raw brand. Ultimately, I do think somebody from Raw is going to win, but it is kind of interesting that they included SmackDown talent in this as well, because it kind of makes you wonder, is there somebody from SmackDown that they want to move to Raw that they decided ex post facto, so to speak, to use a legal term, that they wanted to move over, but they didn't do it during the draft? I don't know. It's interesting.
It's confusing for me because it's like, I don't get it. Maybe there's somebody going from SmackDown to Raw, but then what was the point of the draft?
Well, everybody else still has to stay. I mean, that one individual would come over, but everybody else has to stay where they went.
Yeah, the only good thing I like about the draft is obviously a lot of NXT talent actually got called up to the main roster. I hope they rerun. Yeah. I mean,
it's wishful thinking, Joe. I know where you're going with this, but that's what they're going to do. You know they are. They're going to have that moment where they go in the ring and, well, I'm the real champion. Well, no, Bianca, I'm the real champion. You can't beat me. And then they're just going to throw the belts at each other. And you know how this goes. You guys know we've done this a million times. This WWE booking that's recycled over and over and over.
No, I have to agree with that comment there from Joe. They should have did the tournament before the draft. It's kind of like timing thing kind of sucks with this one, but I mean, I think when you think about it, a lot of promotions do kind of do stuff like that. You know, timing wise for announcements, it's kind of stupid, but we shall definitely see. But do you think Belair's going over on this one?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think we're both in agreement there. So, next match is, and obviously it's the other women's match. It is Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. I'm just going to say this. I'm expecting a big squash match here. And we know obviously the size difference. We know Zelina's about 50 pounds, according to Mr. Isaacs. Don't know how he knows that, but you know.
Rhea Ripley looks like a monster, an animal that's getting ready to eat their prey. Like that's what this match is going to look like. Aesthetically, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like we said, Zelina Vega's like 80 pounds. You know, Rhea Ripley is like the second coming of China that can actually wrestle. This is going to be a squash. Rhea's going over.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a squash as well. I mean, I have nothing to say about this. I hope, like we said earlier, that Zelina does get that big, you know, like, oh my God moment, nearly moment, as we call it, because I've seen her in the ring, and I think she is good. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's been around a long time, too. I mean, I know a lot of people think she's just been Zelina Vega, but I mean, she used to be in TNA like over a decade ago. I think she went by the name Rosita. And
yes.
Yeah, I mean, she was good. You know, I always thought she was a good wrestler. She was talented. She's just not very big. And, you know, I mean, she's just, I don't see her as a champion, but she's a decent wrestler.
Yeah, I agree. It was Serena and Rosita. I actually remember it was like Mexico, something to do with Mexican. I cannot remember the exact thing, but she's against the squash important. Really? Do you reckon?
No, I think she gets squashed. I mean, if nothing else, just to get a massive amount of heel heat on Rhea.
Yeah,
I imagine I can see this devolving into kind of a schmoz at the end between the LWO and the Judgment Day. I can see that. But yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a squash. They want Rhea to look strong. They want her to look like a monster. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah, that kind of brings me on to my next question here. What's your thoughts when it comes to the build-up with the LWO and Judgment Day?
I mean, it's been okay. I like the fact that that these guys came to the side of Ray to kind of help defend him against Judgment Day and his son. I think it's a pretty good angle. I like it. I think it'll probably be over. They'll probably drag it out another event or two, and then I think it's going to be over.
Yeah, I think that's probably agreeing so well. So I think we're...
Yeah. So I told them in chat last night that I would like to get that guy on the podcast. That guy has been on every major wrestling show for the past several years. He's got to be an interesting fan to talk to. And I will tell you that I went to Twitter this morning and I went to his Twitter account. He does not have the ability to direct message him. I was going to send him a message and ask him if he'd be willing to come on, but I don't know if that's going to happen now.
I know we're on about. Yeah, I'm completely lost here.
Do you know who we're talking about, Liam?
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, it's the guy with the green smiley shirt that wears the khaki colored hat. That's always sitting in the middle of hard cam on the front row of like every major wrestling event. He's been to AEW, WWE. Look at WrestleMania. He was at SmackDown last night. If you see that, surely to God, you've seen this guy.
I probably have if you pointed it out, but I've never actually thought about it.
But, I mean, he's kind of become like internet folklore at this point because he's literally at every major show. Like, I don't know if he's rich. He has to be rich. There's no way he can afford this. And he's always in the very middle of the front row of hard cam of every major show, WrestleMania, AEW, whatever. He's at all of them.
You're gonna have to send me this because how have we managed to find out who it is?
I will. I'll send you a picture of him. Once you see him, you'll probably be like, "Oh, I've seen that guy a million times."
I don't know in that voice. Do I sound like that?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of just mix like Brits with Australian and whatever else, South African. I mean, it all sounds the same to me. No offense. I'm just being real.
Thanks. I don't know if I'm taking that as an insult. I think I'm just going to move on. Next match we've got is Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. I want to start by actually thinking, obviously Theory's reinventing himself since Triple H took over. It's been probably the best thing for him personally. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've said for months that this kid is a star. He's a big star. He's going to be WWE champion of whatever brand at some point. Yeah, man. I mean, he's going to end up being the top heel in this company eventually. And I think eventually he'll have a nice babyface run too.
Yeah. I like I said, when he was quote unquote Vince's guy, I'm like, I do not like this kid one bit. But since obviously he repackaged or reinvented himself, wherever you want to call it, I kind of dig, obviously, do you know the whole character? His physique's obviously awesome. To put the title on Lashley Theory isn't quite ready to be the main event on champ on SmackDown yet. Possibly, but what do you reckon to this match build-up? Because you got two big hitters there in Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley.
I think it's been an okay build-up. I mean, at least they've actually had some physical interactions with each other, unlike a couple other matchups on this card. I can see this going one of two ways. I could see Theory losing and then moving on to the world title picture, or I could see Theory retaining and kind of staying where he is for a little while and then going to the world title picture. If I had to be a betting man, I would say that he'll probably retain and stay at the U.S. title level for a few more months.
Interesting.
And F Wrestling says Jungle Boy gets a world title shot first. Yes, he will get a world title shot first.
At Double
or Theory's going to win it before he does.
Oh yeah, I remember that because you said Theory would win the world title first. I remember that.
To be clear, I didn't specify the world title. I said he was going to be a bigger star. And he is. Theory is absolutely going to be a bigger star than Jungle Boy in the grand scheme of things. Let's fast forward 5 years from now and see which one of them is the better star. It's going to be Theory.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, them two things you've just obviously mentioned there, which benefits him more, would you say?
I think it would benefit him most to stay at the U.S. title at this point. I'm with Joe Graham here. I don't think he's ready for a world title run. I think he needs some more seasoning. He's getting there, though. He's getting there. Like, his character work's getting a lot better. He's already great in the ring and got a great physique. He'll get there character-wise as well, but we don't want to hot shot this kid to the title. We need to move on a little bit.
Yes, I have to agree there totally. I feel like I can see him retaining, but I'm expecting like a quick roll up or like a stealing win, as we call it. Because obviously
Right.
it's too
Yeah.
big.
I mean, he's a heel, so yeah. I mean, he might do a roll up, he might do a low blow, something like that. I don't think he just straight up beats either one of these guys.
Yeah. What's your obviously opinions on obviously Bronson Reed? Because I always remember just from his Impact days. I've not seen him much in WWE.
I think he's all right. I think he's pretty good in the ring. He's got that big guy physique. I mean, of course, he was Jonah. Obviously an Impact. He worked a match with Okada in New Japan that was pretty decent. I think he's all right. I don't think he's setting the world on fire, but he's a solid talent. He's a big dude. I can see him making some noise in WWE.
Yeah, but yeah, I have to agree. I think Theory's obviously going to need, retain. So, got 3 more matches left, and then we'll some final questions at the end. This is the one I'm going to be honest, as we mentioned earlier, I'm not looking forward to. It is, of course, Seth Rollins versus Omos, or as Canada Dry calls him. I cannot remember the name, but
Osmosis.
Osmosis.
It's Oz. Kevin Nash is going to come out as Omos, and it's going to be Oz.
But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, match is just kind of thrown together. There's been no build. So, what are you expecting with this match in particular?
Not much. I mean, the thoughts that I gave in the kind of preamble discussion of this is kind of about all I have to say about it, really. I don't think it's going to be a great match. Omos is just kind of there for spectacle. He's there to be the big guy, the typical Vince big guy that everybody oohs and ahs over. But I don't think he's beating Seth. I think it's going to be the typical storytelling of Seth can't just beat him straight up. He's got to try to find creative ways to win. He's going to chop his knee or something like that, and then set up for the curb stomp. It's going to be something like that. But yeah, this is a throwaway match with no build up at all. It's just there for spectacle. Seth is going over.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in agreement. So I think Seth is going over here. I kind of hate these matches on this card where they've just been thrown together, and I feel like this is a prime example. No disrespect to obviously the both wrestlers, because I feel like they are good talents, especially Seth, but I'm a bit surprised with this match in particular. How many curb stomps? Good question.
I'm going to say 3.
I'll one up and I'll go 4.
4. Okay. You got to have an even number, right?
Yeah, you got to do, haven't you? I mean,
see, I think it's going to be 3, 1 for each count.
Fair enough. All right, we'll see. You're going to end up messaging me going, I told you 3.
Yeah. Damn it, Liam, when are you going to learn to start listening to me?
But yeah, I think we're both in agreement here. Seth's going over on this one. There's not really much to say about it.
Seth should be banned from laughing. Yes. Please stop with that stupid laugh. Seth's character is absolutely god awful. Can this guy please just go back to being a regular guy? Can he go back to being like Shield era Seth? I hate this character. I hate the stupid look. I hate the costumes. I hate the prancing around and acting like a weird Batman villain. Like, let's get past this. I don't like it. What do you think, Liam? Do you like his character?
Since he obviously left the Shield, I was a big fan, obviously, the Authority Seth, as I called it. But since he started wearing like stupid, I'm sure he's like sharing Becky Lynch's closet.
Yeah, I mean, Seth isn't a huge guy. Maybe they could share clothes. I don't know. They might be the same size, but yeah, it looks ridiculous. It looks totally ridiculous. And he came out with the weird big red boots that nobody understood. Apparently, it was some obscure YouTube thing that like Gen Zers saw. I don't know. It makes no sense.
No, it
I don't
does
like
not.
it. That's me personally.
No, I think there'd be a lot of people out there who doesn't actually like the new Seth. I mean, I want it back to the normal Seth as we call it, but again, we don't make the rules, unfortunately. We just have to deal with it.
I just wish they would keep him off a mic because honestly, his voice is so grating that like just keep him off a microphone, please.
There you go. That's the knowledge is power for the show. But right, we've got 2 more matches. Peppa Pig West.
What Peppa Pig, the British cartoon?
That is
I bet
correct.
that's Liam's favorite program.
No, it's not. It's Teletubbies. Oh dear. Next match we've
Pepper
got
Pig.
is Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in a street fight. I had a feeling, obviously, when Backlash was announced that obviously Bad Bunny was going to be on the card. Me personally, I'm not a Bad Bunny fan. I don't like the character. I don't like anything about him at all. But what we expecting with this match in particular?
I'm stuck on the Pepper Pig thing. Like I'm gonna be the alter ego of Pepper Pig and call myself Salty Swine. How about that? No, but this match in particular, I think is just there for the celebrity spectacle match. I kind of wonder if this is going on in the main event. And the reason why I'm wondering that is because they did one of those pull apart press conferences like they do for boxing and MMA fights with Triple H as the promoter who sits in the middle and then has to break them up because one of them shoved the other one. I don't know. I kind of wonder if they're putting this on as the main event. Bunny's going over. It's not going to be Damian Priest. I think it'll be an okay match. Bad Bunny does seem to take this seriously as far as in-ring work goes. I would take Bad Bunny and Logan Paul over a lot of people that actually are full-time trained wrestlers. So I don't think it's going to be horrible. I think it's just going to be a little one-off thing where Bunny wins and then disappears until Mania next year.
I see. The thing is, I mean, obviously, a lot of fans want obviously Damian Priest to win. Is it going to be a shocker? I don't know. This is a match where I couldn't make a prediction.
Nah, Bunny's going over. Bunny's a multi-platinum selling artist. Apparently, he's the most streamed artist. I don't know. All of his songs are in Spanish, so I don't listen to him because I don't know Spanish. But apparently, he's huge. I don't think he's going to agree to just like lose to Damian Priest. I think he's going over. I don't think they would even ask him to lose.
Okay, I'm gonna have to disagree. I think Damian Priest. So this is the only match
Really?
we've always.
You think
I
Damian Priest is going over? Wow.
I don't know. I can just see him going over. There's got to be a shock on the night because at the moment, every match we've gone through is kind of becoming predictable. Surely we can't have a full pay per view where every match is predictable. Surely not.
All right. Well, that's a hot take choice there, Liam. But we'll see what happens. I will tip my hat to you, sir, if Damian Priest wins.
There you go. There you go. So we've got one more match, and this is probably the only one where it's actually we can say it's got build in a way. Let's be honest, ish. But it's of course the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes versus the Beast Incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar. Now we obviously saw what happened after WrestleMania, the Monday Night Raw, which was probably one of the worst. But oh my God, Brock absolutely destroyed Cody. Let's be honest.
Yeah, Brock is like he does the whole like I'm a monster heel and I'm gonna kill you gimmick. Like he does that really well. Yeah, I did kind of like babyface Brock there for a while because he was showing charisma he had never shown before. But I kind of think that I do think this match is going to be the best one of the night. I really do. I like Brock Lesnar matches. I know a lot of people don't. He works snug. It looks realistic. He looks strong. And he if he has somebody good in the ring with him, he puts on a hell of a show. I think this is going to be a really good match. I do think Cody's going to win because I think that there are rumors that Brock is on his way out. And if that's true, then I think Cody's going to be the one that gets the springboard from this and moves on. I think this might be the last we see of Brock for a little while.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this. I mean, I mean, a lot of fans obviously still a bit pissed. Obviously, what happened at WrestleMania, obviously with Roman and obviously Cody. If you try and put yourself obviously in Cody's shoes, would you be pissed at the moment with the predicament you're in?
No. I mean, he's cashing $1 million paychecks. What does he care? I mean, this guy's an old school wrestling guy. His father obviously is one of the biggest legends of all time. I don't understand this narrative of he lost at Mania. He's got to be really upset, and he's got to be upset, regret leaving AEW and blah, 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 blah. The guy's getting paid millions of dollars. He's fulfilling a role. He's going to lose, and then they're going to continue the chase with him, and he's eventually going to get a world title, and that's going to be the payoff. I don't think he cares at all, man. I really don't. I think he's enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah, I obviously I know I saw all the comments with that, but Cody doesn't care. Yeah, I mean, you kind of talked me into it.
The check's going to clear.
Yeah.
If you're paying me $6 million, I don't care. You can beat my ass in the middle of the ring every single week.
As you said on the Elimination Chamber one, money talks, my man.
It does. Absolutely.
So that covers obviously all the matches. Overall, are you disappointed with the pay-per-view matches, realistically?
This is a throwaway event. And I've noticed that a lot of these kind of like events where they go to a place where they don't usually go, like Saudi Arabia or Puerto Rico or Wales or wherever they go that they don't typically go, it kind of ends up being a little bit of a throwaway show. It's kind of just there for the live spectacle aspect of it, but it's not really there to further any storylines in any great capacity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you say. It's like an extra pay-per-view, probably as we call it, a bit extra money in a way.
And when you stick it like right around the time of a draft, I mean, there's not going to be any build up because these people are just kind of thrown together because they're going to be separated in different shows. Nothing is really going to continue from this. So yeah, I mean, this is just kind of a throwaway show. I think it'll be okay. I'll definitely watch it if I'm here. But yeah, I'm not expecting anything too grandiose. I don't think it's going to be horrible, but I don't think it's going to be great either. I think it's going to be a middle of the road WWE premium live event.
Yeah, interesting. Do we see any surprises? Any people showing up?
No. Unless Invader 1 comes out and tries to stab somebody, which hopefully that doesn't happen.
Wow. I mean, there's not really much you can say on this pay-per-view. I mean, I'm looking at the cards now outside, and I'm like, apart from the Brock match, possibly the Bad Bunny one, I'm like, there's not really much which is drawing me in, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be okay, but it's nothing that you're going to like cry for missing, I don't think.
Yeah. So, as we normally do on obviously all the pre-shows, which match do you think is going to flop and which match do you think is going to pop?
I think Cody and Brock is going to pop. I think that's going to be the best one. The worst.
Take your
I
pick.
don't know. Probably Rhea and Zelina. Like, I don't expect that to be too great.
Interesting. So I absolutely agree with obviously the Brock and Cody one being the match of the night. I'm gonna have to say the Seth one. I feel like that's gonna be the one which is gonna flop. I will be honest.
Yeah, it might. But Seth is so charismatic though that I think that he'll keep the crowd into it.
Yeah, I'll probably do that annoying laugh as he comes to the ring.
Oh, Moss, you don't know how to wrestle.
Please don't do that again. Oh dear, guys! If you got any comments, obviously, or questions for us about this pay-per-view, I mean, let us know.
Nama Burns. Now, this is. Are you familiar with this name? I haven't seen this individual before.
This person does obviously crop up on a few shows, but the pop is Rhea and Zelina flop it. Interesting. He thinks the Cody one's going to flop.
Okay.
I'm surprised at that one.
That's a hot take, but who knows? We'll see.
That's 2 hot takes. I mean, we're only 45 minutes in, and we can't really add much to it. Do you know what I mean? This is a pay-per-view where I'm actually disappointed. I will be honest.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just kind of a he has revealed himself.
Oh, that's who it is. I know it is now.
You all throw me off when you use different names, but it's all good. Thank you for being here, by the way. We're just
Of course.
giving you a hard time, just out of fun. But yeah, like I said, this is just kind of a throwaway event. I don't expect anything too major. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Hopefully it's all right. But hopefully we see a grand reset here with WWE now, and we start actually seeing a little continuity in the storylines and where they're going. Because right now it's just it's meh. Like, it's just not very good in my opinion. I think that the sell to Endeavor has ultimately made it to where they're afraid to shake things up too much. They want to kind of keep things at homeostasis for a little while and keep things from getting too out of control. But they need to shake things up a little bit. They need to change production a little bit. They need to change the events a little bit. That's what needs to happen, or else this is just going to continue getting more and more stale, and eventually people are going to quit watching.
Yeah. What's your opinion, obviously, because apparently Endeavor's turned around and says they're not going to interfere in creative?
Yeah, and I believe that they won't. But I do think that Vince is going to want to do what he thinks they're going to want him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Endeavor's pretty hands off. I mean, they bought the UFC 4 or 5 years ago, and they don't run it. They kept Dana White in charge. He 100% has full control over the UFC. It's going to be the same thing here. They wanted Vince. They're going to give Vince 100% control to where it's basically like the company was never sold. So I don't expect Endeavor to get involved. But what I do think is that Vince is going to try to appeal to Endeavor in a way that he's going to keep doing things the way that he's been doing them. Because it's the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach. And if you just sell the company for like $1 billion or however much, he's going to keep doing the same shit to keep them thinking, well, this is the product we wanted. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of radical change. I wish there would be, but I don't think that there is. Not with Vince in charge.
No, there's not really much you can really say about that one. But Endeavor won't. It will be Vince messing with stuff. I mean, you can make that last bit make that what you want.
I had to tune you out for a second there. I had to shoo my kid away. He was making some noise.
It's fine.
So I didn't even hear what you said there, Liam. I apologize.
It's fine. I said, can you show the comment again from Mr. Graham? It says, Conor.
This one? Endeavor
yeah, it said it will be Vince messing with stuff. Make that last bit what you want.
Messing with stuff. We don't mean like the paralegals now. All right. We mean like creative.
Yeah. Creative. Yeah.
Conor McGregor incoming as Vince's illegitimate son. Well, I mean, it sticks to the Irish theme, right? So Hornswoggle was the illegitimate son before. Conor McGregor, who's just a little bit bigger than Hornswoggle, let's be honest, could be the other Irish child of Vince. Maybe Vince spent some time in Ireland. I don't know. But he produced a leprechaun and a UFC champion, so
there you go.
It makes sense to me. Book it.
There you go. Right then, so I think we'll obviously wrap the show up. So don't forget, next week we're talking to one PW ring announcer, Stevie Aaron. Now, this guy, apparently he's got loads to say, so we might just be sat just listening for most of the show.
An announcer has a lot to say. All right.
Do you know one thing I've just realized, though, as I think about it? We're going to be introducing a guy who actually introduces people anyway.
Yeah. Isn't that's a weird conundrum, right? Like, we are announcing somebody who announced Will Ospreay a couple weekends ago, right?
There you go. Oh dear. Then of course, the week after that, we're doing the highs and lows of Bret Hart. Now, the interns have turned around and said to me that we can't get some Bret Hart marks, but it turns out, how wrong am I? One is actually at the side of me.
You don't have to. I mean, if you throw a rock at the effing wrestling office, it's going to bounce off 3 marks' heads. Just because, and it doesn't matter what room you're in. You could be in the bathroom. You're still going to hit 3 marks in the head. So it's going to bounce off my bald head, and it's going to bounce off JFB's bald head, and then it's probably going to hit Aaron right between the eyes. That's what's going to happen. But we're AEW. We're AEW marks too, but we're all Bret Hart marks. So that's just part of the territory here.
Of course, and then at the end of the month, we're doing any questions. Now, this is where anybody can send us questions. You can send us anything. Like, you can ask Mr. Isaac, does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Which I answered during the Elimination Chamber review show. But yes, these are my favorite episodes. I love answering just weird off the wall questions where I have to really think. You know, like is wearing white after Labor Day good? You know, like hit me with the hard hitting questions because I like it. I like to get my brain fired up and I like to talk about weird stuff. I got a lot of weird stuff floating around in this cranium up here. So yeah, ask me anything. I'll answer it.
That's the key thing. It doesn't have to be wrestling related. So more information will be coming on the Effing Wrestling Community chat page on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much wraps up the show. So don't forget you can head to effingwrestling.com. You can find all our social medias on there. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. As always, Mr. Isaacs, we're growing, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of trailed off a little bit there. I'm going to be on the show tomorrow, so don't forget about that. All Effing Wrestling. I'm going to be on the show doing a trivia contest against Joe Graham and Canada Dry with JFB as the moderator. I'm looking very forward to that. I look forward to beating those two gentlemen and walking away with my brand new replica title.
Of course. And if you want a t-shirt, we've got plenty of t-shirts. You can head to prowrestlingtees.com/effing wrestling. You can buy yourself the All Effing Wrestling shirt, which is modeled by the lovely Natalia Markova. You can get the Magic of Wrestling one, which is modeled by our good friend Dollywood. And Mr. Isaacs, I mean, go ahead and tell everybody about the old school.
The old school? Oh, yes. You could go to prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis. We run the Pro Wrestling Tees store of the adorable Adrian Adonis, who is going to be on an upcoming episode of Dark Side of the Ring. So if you want to support Adrian Adonis, go to prowrestlingtees.com/Adrian Adonis and buy a t-shirt.
Yes, of course. I'm actually excited for this, obviously, Dark Side of the Ring, because I know some parts, obviously, of Adrian, but I'm not familiar with the whole deal. So I'm kind of excited to learn a bit, about this story?
Yeah, me too. I mean, I don't know a ton about Adrian Adonis. I mean, I remember seeing him at, WrestleMania 3 against Piper.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know a whole lot about like his NWA days or anything like that. So I'm kind of curious to see and learn more about him as well.
Of course, and then that's coming up soon. So, yeah, so on behalf of me, the magician, Mr. Isaacs, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you all in the next one. Magic Man out.